Now, as you know, last week we did not hold service. That is, as far as we can tell, the first time in the history, the remembered history of the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa, that we have ever not had service on a Sunday. So it's historic in that regard. When the evacuations began, we started to receive a steady stream of phone calls and emails and Facebook messages offering thoughts of love and prayers. They came from centers for spiritual living everywhere and from individuals all over the United States, even from as far as the Kingdom of Bhutan, where a group of monks let me know that they were meditating on behalf of our community, first responders, and volunteers. And they sent me a message of them in their living room, which I brought along. My sincere prayers and wishes. We are sending all the good energy to all my friends and family in California. May the fire be contained soon. We also received messages of love from Jamaica, Ukraine, France, Canada, South Africa, Peru, Mexico, and from all over the United States. It's a solid reminder to me of the goodwill extended to our Santa Rosa Science of Mind community from our friends everywhere and the mutual reciprocal love we have for those community. You know, sometimes people object to the phrase thoughts and prayers. I, for one, love thoughts and prayers, and I trust them, and I am tremendously grateful for all who continue to hold us in their hearts. It allows me to feel especially grateful today for all first responders, for all firefighters, for all volunteers, for all medical professionals, for dispatchers, for helpers, for peace officers, for civic leaders and officials, and for people who took other people into their homes, and for reporters, and for ordinary people pulling together on behalf of people they may never know. I was driving on 101 and I noticed a fire truck pulling up, passing me, and it was from a different municipality, one that I couldn't even tell you where it's located in California. And I looked over, and the people, the occupants in the fire truck, looked exhausted, tired. And such a wave of gratitude came up in me as I watched that. When I feel helpless or ineffective, I try to remind myself to make a list of the people who are busy helping so that I can connect with my appreciation for them, so that in the months and years to follow after this has all passed away, I don't forget their sacrifices and their bravery. Diana Butler Bass, who wrote this beautiful book, Grateful, it was one of our recommended books. She talks about the transformative power of giving thanks. And in the book, she writes, I started writing this book in the spring of 2016. Thus, as one of the most conflicted years in American political history unfolded, I was researching happiness and reading books on positive psychology, histories of gratitude, articles on gratitude and social ethics, medical papers on gratitude and health outcomes, and spiritual memoirs of thanksgiving. But rarely have I felt more out of sync with the world around me. While anger and division mounted, I buried myself in gratefulness. Everything I read said the same thing. Fear and anger are dangerous to our souls, and gratitude is good for us. Each day, however, the news revealed how we had lost much of our collective sense of gratitude for each other, for the gift of life, for the beauty of the world. Then later on in the book, she describes just how difficult this was to do, and I'll share that with you in a moment. At the top of this chapter, she has a quote attributed to Rumi that says, "Gratitude is the wine of life. Go on, get drunk." Her book reminds me of a nighttime practice I learned at a Center for Spiritual Living to use at nighttime when I'm going to sleep for those times when I'm distracted and fearful in my thinking. You get a notepad and you use it for this one purpose and this purpose alone. I sacrifice the notepad for this exercise. And then at nighttime, you start making a list of all the things, people, animals, ideas that you are grateful for. You just fill up a page, just one page. Then the next evening, you do a second page. And then on the third evening, and so on. I try to keep it up for 30 days, you know. It's important for me to remember, try not to expect instant results. This is more gradual. I'm training my heart and I'm training my mind and my attention to include this wine of the soul, gratitude, which is a medicine, gratefulness, even while at the same time I'm dealing with difficult situations. I was out of town when I heard the news of the fires, and I noticed when I heard about it a sudden increase in nervous energy. That's how it goes. Stress and anxiety from a previous terrifying experience can rise up again, can resurface when similar events show up in life. I noticed I forgot to do my gratitude exercise. I didn't remember because my mind had been hijacked by the news. I have a friend that I talk to often and about the things in the world, and he's typically very level-headed in his responses to things. You know, I'll call him and say, "Have you heard about this?" Or, "Can you believe what that political or this political figure said?" You know, and he'll say, usually, "Oh, Edward, if you want to get all upset about it, go ahead. I don't need to." You know, I suppose he's being on point, you know. I mean, after all, when it comes to living a spiritual life and being a metaphysician and studying at the Center for Spiritual Living, we're supposed to go through this world placidly. You know, like Max Ehrman advises us in his poem, Desiderata. He says, "Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are a vexation to the spirit." If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter. For always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affair, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You're a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you consider God to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. Oh, that poem. It reminds me of a saying in the Bhagavad Gita which advises us, don't be disturbed by the world, and neither be a disturbance to the world. It reminds me of some teaching in our own science of mind philosophy that advises us, do not engage in this world on the level of how things appear to be, but rather on the level of how you and I know things really are. Keep your mind on. There is a powerful good in the universe, greater than you are, and you can use it. It reminds me of something that the spiritual leader of the Sonoma Ashram said. He was once one of our nonprofit partners, the Sonoma Ashram, and they have a school for girls in Varanasi. I went there, I visited it. They also have an eye clinic. Anyway, back to what the leader said. The spiritual leader once at a talk said, nothing is worth losing your center of peace over. Actually, he presented it as a question. He asked, what is worth losing your center of peace for? Still, some things do get to us, don't they? Depending on how close they are, right? Remember my friend, the level-headed friend that I call up? Well, when I called him, he's typically usually calm, and I talked to him about the fires, I noticed he was uncharacteristically activated. Because this was closer, this knocked him off his center. Feelings emerged, memories resurfaced, and he talked to me about friends who had lost their homes in previous fires. It was understandably more difficult for him to maintain his center of peace. There's a good lesson in that for me. It's this. We're all trying as best we can to remain connected to our center of peace. And when it is easy for me to be connected and calm, I should do that, especially when others may not be able to. So that's the lesson. Let each person, according to their ability, be as peaceful as they can, because possibly someone close to them can't and needs it. Somebody close to you may be losing it. And sometimes things bump us off our center. Oh, I've learned, don't be too judgmental about people who lose it, because down the road a bit, it might be me. It might be you. We've all got different boiling points. We're all dealing with our own thing. That's why I love the labyrinth that is painted on the sidewalk outside the center, just under the stained glass window over there. It's a beautiful design. It's a walking meditation. So when you start out walking the path and following it, you might quickly encounter someone who has been walking the design for a long time, but it looks like they're right at the beginning. See, that's life. You can't tell what someone's journey has been based on where they are standing right now. You might be the beginner, and they might be closer to their center of peace than what circumstances, outward experiences show. We don't know based on outward experiences. Some of us are angry, some of us are afraid, some of us are this, some of us are that, some of us are at peace, some of us know, some of us forget, and so it goes. When we were preparing to come back to the center, returning to our homes, going back to work, I began to think also of those people who have lost something during the fires, whatever that is, their home, their connection to their peace. I'm thinking also to those people who are displaced and who have yet to return to normal. And with that in mind, I'm making a personal goal of being as kind in my thinking as I can, and as helpful in my actions as I can, and as appreciative as I possibly can be, because I understand that for a good many people, the challenges have not yet ended. And to move through it again, we will need each other again. And all our compassion, and all our mutual support, and all our mindfulness again. Back to the book that Diana Butler-Bess wrote, the one on gratitude. I've abbreviated a bit for length, but I did want to share this part with you. During the weeks of writing the book, she writes, I struggled with a number of health issues. My husband went through significant changes with his work, and we experienced an unexpected family crisis. This series of external and internal emotional shocks undermined any sense of stability that I had previously trusted. Most days, I did not want to get out of bed. A friend asked me, "What are you working on?" A book about gratitude, I ventured. She stared at me, eyes wide with disbelief. "You have got to be kidding. How's that going?" "I'm not kidding," I replied to the first question, and then to the second. "It's going very, very slowly." She laughed. "Good luck with that," and then she added more seriously, "I don't feel grateful. I know you don't." She was right. Every day, I faced the daunting task of writing about gratitude when I felt none. I remembered how optimistically I had imagined this book in the months before. I had vowed to keep a journal, practice yoga, write gratitude letters, and become more disciplined than I had ever been. Instead of embracing my perfect life of gratitude, however, I found myself rereading the book of Job, the Bible's grimmest account of anger and loss. I could relate. There were plenty of reasons not to feel thankful. There are always reasons not to feel thankful. So I did the only thing I could think of doing, simply saying thanks as I went through the day. I woke up with a quick prayer. "Thank you that I'm alive. I got coffee and breakfast. Thank you for this food. I looked out the window. Thank you for sunshine. I noticed how I was feeling. Thank you that my fever isn't 103 today. I thought of my family. Thank you that we have each other." Even when it comes to thankfulness, sometimes you have to take what you can get. I took nothing for granted. The simple form of giving thanks made me pay attention and start looking for particular reasons to be grateful. There will always be grounds for ingratitude. Seeking out the small things for which I could give thanks, however, changed my field of spiritual and emotional vision. I learned not to focus on what was lacking. Slowly, I began to feel more resilient and rested more easy at night. Gratitude, she writes, is not a form of passive acceptance or complicity. Rather, it is the capacity to stare doubt, loss, chaos, and despair right in the eye and say, I am still here. Recognizing divinity as the one source of all that is, by whatever name we apply to it, and identifying with it as the source of my being, of our life. I let myself remember that I am a channel today for its expression. And today I allow myself to express divinity as gratitude. This gratitude leads me into the path of loving kindness, and I allow that to guide me further, deeper into connection and peace. I know as this word is being spoken of prayer, although I speak it in the first person, it is the prayer of all of those hearts which identify with it. And I rejoice in this, and I let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Let us take a deep breath together and a sigh.